Welcome back to the program. World Economics is a global research organization operating out of London. Recently reported the global oil sector sales managers index fell to a 4-year low of 54.0 reading in the month of December, down from 54.4 in November 2015. According to the report, this was the slowest pace on record, but signaled solid levels of global growth. The World Economics Global Oil Sector Sales Managers Index is derived from an average of business confidence, market growth, sales, prices charged, and staffing indexes. Let's get the chief economist at World Economics, Brian Sturgis, to talk to us via Skype from the city of London. Good afternoon to you, Brian. Okay, I guess we lost that Skype connection there with Brian. We'll try to get him back within the next couple of minutes left on the program. Let's talk about the luxury car. Ferrari shares opened 43 euros in their Milan Bourse debut on the stock exchange on Monday as the luxury sports car maker completed its divorce from Fiat Chrysler Automobiles and left the parent to fight its future alone. The separation stripped out a third of FCA's value, which from now on will have to make do without the fat profits of a unit that contributed 12% of its earnings in 2014. Okay, let's look at the global oil markets. That will be coming later on the program. We've seen oil prices stepping lower today. Brent back to around $37.11 a barrel, down by about 0.3%. The U.S. crude also down today. That's one of the story that we've been following today as we see the crisis between Iran and Saudi Arabia escalating a few minutes ago with further reports of other countries within the region severing diplomatic relations with Iran. That is one story that we'll talk about later on the program in a few minutes. But let's get back to the state of the Chinese economy. The Chinese has invested billions of dollars, about 40 billion yuan, to support the Belt and Road Initiative projects, of course, which aims to revive the ancient trade routes between Asia and Europe. And that's part of what we call the China Infrastructure Investment Fund, approved by the State Council Cabinets. That's what the Chinese cabinet approved. That was last July. Let's see how that project is making some progress.
Operated by the China Insurance Investment Company Limited, that was located in the Shanghai Free Trade Zone, the China Insurance Investment Fund, worth about 300 billion yuan, was established to mobilize insurance company money to support strategic projects such as substandard housing renovation, urban infrastructure, water conservation projects, traffic measures in central and western China, and the Belt and Road Initiative. The initial fund is scheduled to be directly invested in overseas projects such as the port construction projects in Asia, Europe, and Africa, and liquefied natural gas transportation projects in China and Russia. It is also to ensure energy security in China and countries along the Belt and Road. The insurance capital is always large in amount and runs for a long term. It is operated very flexibly, and we have been required to innovate the way of using the insurance capital. The China Insurance Regulatory Commission has been considering how to guide the enterprises to take sound advantage of the insurance capital. We can see that the projects chosen by the company during the preparation process are the ones that match the development strategy of our country. The China Insurance Investment Fund can also be invested in emerging industries, modern logistics, healthcare, information technology, environmental protection, and the small and medium-sized enterprises. The Belt and Road Initiative, a reference to the Silk Road economic belt and the 21st century maritime Silk Road, aims to revive the ancient trade route between Asia and Europe. The network passes through 60 countries and regions with a total population of 4.4 billion. In the meantime, China's logistics industry is in sound development trend amid stable recovery, as the Logistics Performance Index for last December has been picking up for 4 consecutive months. The China Federation of Logistics and Purchasing says the LPI for last December stood at 55%, up 0.8 percentage points from last November, the 4th consecutive month for the index to pick up. The circulating movable property of our country is about 70 trillion yuan. The Internet of Things gives the movable property the attribute of immovable property, making it easy for enterprises to raise funds and pledge with movable property, so the risk of loan financing for financial enterprises is controllable. The Federation began collecting LPI data from more than 300 logistics companies in December 2011. Since then, the index has stayed above 50%.
So we'll come back. We'll talk about the global oil market and the ongoing face-off between Kuwait and Saudi Arabia, two oil giants in the Middle East region. We'll be right back. At the last count, at least 5 countries, including Saudi Arabia, has withdrawn diplomatic relations with Iran, the country in the Middle East prospecting and getting ready to tap into the world of oil as soon as the Western sanctions are lifted. So, where's the state of oil with the current face-off between Tehran and Riyadh? Let's bring in Okoyemi Oguntade, who is a senior investment analyst at Financial Derivatives Company here in Lagos, Nigeria, via Skype. Okoyemi, good afternoon to you, this lunchtime discussion.
Good afternoon, Dr.
Well, thank you. It's very amazing how a single development within Saudi Arabia could begin to escalate and spiral into the oil markets around the world. What is the current situation of things as we speak this afternoon?
Well, the current situation is we definitely still have a conflict between Saudi Arabia and Iran, and it appears that other Middle Eastern countries as well are beginning to cut off ties with Iran. That, you have Bahrain, you have Sudan, you have United Arab Emirates looking to cut down the amount of Iranian diplomats they would allow into their country. Then you also have the fact that they're moving away from just cutting off diplomatic ties to cutting off, the commercial airlines that could travel in between Saudi Arabia and Iran. And, it's just getting worse by the moment. And you begin to wonder when it's going to shift from being a war of words to a war of production. Iran is going to come in with 500,000 barrels a day as soon as sanctions are lifted. And currently, what we have in the markets, in the oil markets, is that we know that supply exceeds demand by about 500,000 barrels per day to 2 million barrels a day. And if Iran is going to come in with 500,000, adding to what we currently have, and looking to increase production to 1.5 million barrels per day before the end of 2016. We're looking at a supply growth of about 3 million barrels per day. And you also have the fact that if these two are to come into a room to talk about modifying or adjusting the current quota in OPEC, it's unlikely that they would reach a decision considering what is currently happening between these two parties. And we also know that Saudi Arabia and Iran actually have really, really large oil reserves, with Saudi Arabia having 260 million barrels and Iran hovering around 150 million barrels. So I guess right now what we analysts are looking at is what exactly is going to happen when these two countries decide to move from a war of words to a war of production.
I like the way you put it. From war of words into war of production, and it all is going to come down to the economics of crude oil at the end of the day. But did you listen to Christine Lagarde's press briefing about an hour ago, did you?
No, I wasn't able to. I was watching.
Okay. Since you missed that, Christine Lagarde is in Nigeria, I'm sure you're aware, the head of the IMF. So, what do you think the IMF position and Nigeria should be as far as our oil target for next year, but more importantly, our price benchmark for the budget?
I think I know Christine Lagarde suggested that we should try and cut down on our public spending by removing the fuel subsidy, which I agree with, and which we're already phasing out into that section about removing fuel subsidy. But I think another area that Nigeria should be looking into is the devaluation of the naira. so far so good. The fact that oil prices have been going down has kind of been mitigated by the fact that the naira isn't so strong compared to the dollar, and the dollar is, all is dollar denominated. So which means our income, or rather our earnings from oil, would be more than expected given the appreciation of the dollar against the naira. So going forward, if we're looking at our benchmark of about $38, and the fact that we're targeting about 2.2 million barrels per day in 2016, $38 at this point, given what is currently happening, isn't exactly within the range we should be, considering what is going on in the energy market. I mean, analysts are already projecting that oil prices may get as low as $18 based on what happened between Saudi Arabia and Iran, and you have Russia producing at record levels about 10.82 million barrels a day. So for Nigeria definitely needs to work on trying to make sure that we increase our production to compensate for the decline in oil prices. For how possible that is, or how visible that is within the short term, that's the issue at hand.
Very interesting, very nice and analytical way in which you end your conversations. Yes, for Nigeria, we need to do something with the benchmark price. Of course, that document is still with the Congress, isn't it? Still with the National Assembly. So we don't know what those legislators will come up with. Okoyemi Oguntade, Senior Investment Officer at Financial Derivatives Company. And that's about all for today. We thank you very much for watching wherever you are. This has been another Business Day, Business Incorporated, here on Channels Television. I am Bosun Namofai. I'll see you next time.